Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. We're Valeria and David, and today we'll be sharing a topic that many investors love just like I do. We'll be talking about the characteristics of a successful business. Let's start. Have you ever stopped to observe that strange paradox that haunts almost everyone who decides to start a business? It's almost a cosmic irony. Someone wakes up one day, fed up with their boss and fixed schedules, and decides to open their own business because, in theory, they're looking for freedom, they want time for their family, they want to be the master of their own destiny. And just like that, he wakes up to the harsh realization that he has built his own prison. Now he works 80 hours every single week, has no weekends, and his new boss, which is his own business, turns out to be the biggest, most demanding tyrant of them all.
It's the perfect trap, no doubt. And it's a fascinating topic when we analyze the psychology behind wealth generation. The vast majority of people take that leap into the void, convinced they're becoming entrepreneurs, when the harsh reality is that they've simply gone to the store to buy themselves a job. And mind you, a job that shows no mercy. The ultimate litmus test for this is actually quite simple to understand. If you were to decide to turn off your mobile phone and disappear to a remote beach for an entire month and your business completely falls apart, or your monthly income drops down to absolute zero, then you do not truly have a business. You are merely self-employed. You are still trapped on that endless, exhausting hamster wheel where all you ever do is trade away your precious time, your personal energy, and your physical health in exchange for cold, hard money.
Exactly. It is that famous invisible wall that exists between being the operator of your own life and being the true owner of a scalable system. Crossing over to that side where money and structures work for you often seems like an urban legend to so many burnt-out entrepreneurs, but deep down, it is really just pure, calculated business engineering. To keep a complex machine running without manually turning the heavy crank all day, you need a fundamental mindset shift that hits your ego hard. Look in the mirror and accept a difficult truth. You simply cannot and shouldn't do it all by yourself. Instead, you must surround yourself with true giants.
And there's a crucial nuance there. When we say surround yourself with giants, the novice entrepreneur's natural instinct is to go hunting for the candidate with the most impressive resume, the one who has 3 master's degrees and speaks 5 languages. But the day-to-day trenches teach you otherwise. You can hire the greatest technical genius in your industry, but if their attitude is toxic, if they're arrogant or don't know how to work as a team, they'll sink your ship before you even realize it. True talent really lies in finding those people who share your vision, people who are hungry for success, and whom you can trust absolutely blindly. Technical knowledge can always be taught. It is merely additive, but the right attitude, that deep passion for the project, that is a multiplier.
That is a truly brilliant distinction, and let us assume for a moment that you already have that dream team with a perfect attitude. That's where I've seen many stumble over the second major hurdle, letting go of control. I know leaders who become the biggest bottleneck in their own projects because they feel a pathological need to check every single email or approve the purchase of pens. How do you break that habit to truly empower your team?
The thing is, micromanagement is truly the silent killer of all sustainable business growth. A real leader doesn't just hand out tasks like some kind of benevolent dictator would. A true leader actively shares both the responsibility and a deep sense of ownership, ensuring their team feels that the ultimate success or the potential failure of the project is truly theirs as well. But naturally, for you to be able to finally take your hands off the steering wheel and sleep soundly through the night, you absolutely need a third, non-negotiable pillar, the power of systematization. Just think of it as if your entire business were a grand Broadway play. If the success of the production relies on the lead actor improvising pure brilliance every single night, then the day that performer wakes up with a fever, the play becomes a total disaster, and the audience will surely demand their money back.
At their mercy.
Not exactly. But if you have a meticulous script, if the lights are programmed, if the stage marks are clear, then any talented actor can put on the costume and the play will earn a standing ovation. Your business has to become a predictable ecosystem. It must have the capacity to replicate itself with the same precision as an international franchise.
I really love that particular analogy. It is the reason why, no matter which corner of this entire planet you happen to be in, if you walk into that world-famous Golden Arches burger chain, the ordering process, the wait time, and even the taste of those fries remain completely identical. And this leads me to think about quality management systems, which sometimes sound like boring corporate bureaucracy, but in reality, they are the rules of the game. They are the guarantee that the promise you made to your client will always be kept, whether you have one branch or 500. Plus, it positions you at a completely different level of authority in the market.
I completely agree. But notice there's an invisible element that holds all of that together. You can have the best manuals in the world, but if you don't have organizational culture, you have nothing. If systems are your company's nervous system, culture is the skeleton. Culture is that collection of unwritten customs. It's how your employees solve a problem when you're not looking. If you can define that core essence from the very first day, your business can scale all the way to the moon without losing its soul.
Now, hearing all this, someone might think, okay, that sounds amazing if I want to build a giant multinational corporation and have millions to invest. But the reality is that the world has taken a radical turn. Nowadays, you don't need to mortgage your life or build a 10,000 square meter factory to create a system that generates wealth for you. And this is the exact point where I would like to delve into various models that are effectively democratizing access to financial freedom, such as network marketing and modern e-commerce.
Network marketing. It's a field full of myths and prejudices, often misunderstood. But if we set aside the stigma and analyze it with the cold, hard logic of a business strategist, it's an absolutely brilliant distribution model. Just think about it. In the traditional business model, a company spends a small fortune on middlemen, complex logistics, supermarket shelves, and massive expensive advertising campaigns. Network marketing cuts all that out entirely. The company connects directly with the end consumer through a human network. It's people recommending something they believe in, managing real relationships, and earning the commission that previously went to the advertising agency. It's good old-fashioned word of mouth, but structured, monetized, and taken to a global scale.
And if we compare it to the self-employment trap we opened with today, the advantages are worlds apart. First of all, you finally take back complete control over your own personal time. You get to decide whether you want to work at 10 in the morning or perhaps at 3 in the morning. Second, you completely shatter that invisible glass ceiling that limits your total income. There is no longer any HR department dictating exactly what you are worth to them this year. You earn in direct and exact proportion to your own personal effort and your unique ability to scale. And the most refreshing part of it all is that you can finally say a long goodbye to all those toxic office politics and a boss breathing down your neck.
And let's not forget the crown jewel of this model, residual or passive income. Because the magic here isn't just in what you manage to sell with your own two hands. The magic really happens when you recruit, train, and empower a team. By building that organization, you start generating an income stream based on the total volume of that network. That's when you truly cross over to the right side of the financial quadrant. You might be having dinner with your family or sleeping and your system keeps generating revenue. Although, of course, we must be very clear. This isn't magic or a lottery ticket. Apatos at the melody. It requires a truly relentless strategy, the most appropriate vehicle, and the most effective channels.
Exactly. It's not about pressing a magic button on the internet and sitting back waiting for money to rain down. And speaking of the internet, when you combine the power of human networks with the infinite scale of the digital world, you get e-commerce. Today, you can have customers on 3 different continents while sipping coffee in your living room. It's the dematerialization of business. You no longer pay absurd rent for a storefront on a main street.
The entire world is your own personal street to explore. Yet, there is a significant catch that frustrates many people. Constructing a comprehensive e-commerce ecosystem from the ground up is certainly no walk in the park. You are forced to contend with the complexities of developing the website, integrating payment gateways, managing crashing servers, coordinating international shipping, navigating customs, and handling endless returns. If you are not extremely careful, that entire operational nightmare will drag you right back into the grueling slavery of self-employment. Ultimately, you just end up being nothing more than a glorified errand boy for your own website.
And packing boxes at 2 in the morning. But it's fascinating how the market always finds ways to optimize itself. Actually, I was looking into how modern all-in-one platforms operate, and I stumbled upon the model of $1million.com LLC. It's the perfect example of how this ecosystem has been simplified. They practically tear down every single barrier to entry that might have stood in your way. They let you plug into a business system that is already structured, tested, and up and running for an initial investment that is literally what you would spend on a couple of coffees or a movie ticket, just about $20.
That is, in fact, the true revolution of our current era. When you manage to lower the financial risk down to that specific level, you effectively open the door for absolutely anyone, regardless of whether they were born in a humble neighborhood or grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth, to truly develop an entrepreneurial mindset. And all of that complex logistical headache that you previously mentioned simply evaporates into thin air. By leveraging a powerful platform like this one, they take on all of the heavy lifting for you, the servers, the massive warehouses, and the entire shipping infrastructure. They'll provide the track. You just bring the compass, your leadership, and your speed.
They even go so far as to provide the fuel, which in this specific instance is marketing. They give you ready-made tools, and which is something truly vital these days, in multiple languages. If you are in Latin America or Spain but want to break into the Asian market, language is no longer a barrier. The system speaks for you. Plus, they combine physical and digital products. Digital ones give you extremely high profit margins and instant delivery, and the physical ones give your business that anchor in the tangible world. It's a perfect synergy.
But of everything this model entails, there's one aspect that personally blows my mind, and I think it leads us to a much deeper, almost existential reflection. It's the concept of an inheritable business. Think about the silent tragedy of the corporate world. A person dedicates 40 years of their life to a company, sacrificing birthdays, anniversaries, their health. You might rise to be a top executive, but the day you die or retire, your status and income vanish into thin air. You can't just call your son and say, here, take my CEO role. You've spent your life building a grand castle, but it's all on someone else's land.
It is truly heartbreaking when you put it in that way. You spend your youth making someone else's system work. Instead, when you build a network, when you create a system using these digital and decentralized models, you are forging a legacy that transcends your own life. It is literally like planting a tree. You will enjoy the shade today, of course, but your children and your grandchildren are the ones who will eat the fruit. Sus frutos. Shifting from, how do I pay bills this month, to, how do I build a dynastic legacy?
What a powerful way to sum it up, because at the end of all this analysis, whether we're talking about quality manuals, franchises, e-commerce, or networks, it all comes down to a conscious choice of how you want to design your life. You are faced with two distinct paths. Either you choose to remain a highly efficient yet exhausted cog in someone else's corporate machine, or you decide to become the master architect of your own. The ultimate goal should always be for your business to breathe entirely on its own, without ever needing to rely on your personal supply of oxygen.
That's right, because true success isn't measured by your bank account balance. It's measured by the number of hours in the day over which you have absolute control. If the money you're making is costing you your peace of mind, your hobbies, or watching your children grow up, believe me, you're making a terrible deal. Technology has already solved the logistics for us. The only barrier left to break down is between our ears.
A significant barrier that, once you have crossed it, will alter the entire trajectory of your family's history forever. And as we wrap up our discussion today, I would like to leave everyone who is listening with a single thought-provoking question. It is an admittedly uncomfortable question, one that might sting a little, but it is truly the most effective wake-up call there is. If you were to decide to turn off your phone, shut down your computer, and completely disappear off the map for 6 full months starting tomorrow morning, what would actually happen to your income? Would you choose to stop dead in your tracks right there, or would you prefer to come back home to a much bigger bank account?
Sure, that really is the ultimate litmus test. If the answer that came to mind gave you chills, then perhaps today is the exact day to stop working so hard in your business and start working on the structure of your business, to look for those digital vehicles, to implement new systems, and to take that brave, bold leap toward your true independence.
We will leave that thought resonating with you for a little while. Time is the only resource in this entire universe that simply cannot be refunded or recovered, but we definitely have the tools to build systems that give us that precious time back. It has been a true privilege to unpack the architecture of success and personal freedom with you here today.
The pleasure has been entirely mine. Until we meet again, and please go out and start building those legacies that the world is waiting for.